Hello again. When you see a proposed course of action by a government which is so obviously flawed that a 5-year-old could see what is wrong with it, you have to ask yourself, why is the person putting forward such a mad idea? Surely he must see the problems with it as well as the rest of us do. The answer as a rule is that those advancing the loopy scheme know very well it will be abused and exploited. This is why they've made it that way. Duh. The plan announced this morning for speeding up asylum claims is a beautiful example of this. People from Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Yemen and Eritrea who have applied for asylum will not be interviewed face to face. They will just have to fill out a questionnaire in English and their claim will be decided on that basis. Why will the form be in English, not in their own language? I'll come back to that later because it really is quite cunning. Rishi Sunak has promised that by the end of the year he will clear up the backlog of claims for asylum in this country, which is it's currently running at close to 100,000. Since each caseworker is at the moment taking an entire week to decide one case, it's plain that there's not the remotest chance of meeting this deadline, and what the Prime Minister really wants to do is declare an amnesty on illegal immigrants already in this country. He dare not do that though because he's promised to be really tough on illegal immigration. It's a puzzle, isn't it? How will he manage? Rishi Sunak is a very clever man and also from an immigrant family himself. This means that first, he doesn't really care how many immigrants come here, and secondly, he's crafty enough not to say this openly. Instead, he's going to streamline the process for claiming asylum, which is the chief route into Britain used by illegal immigrants. The abolition of actual interviews is just the first stage in this, and it will be quietly expanded once the fuss this morning dies down to many other countries. Not that this is really necessary. The system as it's been outlined is already pretty well guaranteed to let everybody in who turns up. Let's see how it will work in practice. Imagine that you are an illegal immigrant from Albania who has crossed the channel on a small boat and knows that Albanians are looked upon unfavourably at the moment. A lot of people view them as crooks and chancers, just wanting to come here because it's easier to rip people off or be a gangster in Britain than it would be in Kosovo, say. OK, you've shredded all your documents and now you have to claim asylum. You're dark and swarthy. When asked by the authorities here where you are from, will you A, admit you are from Albania, or will you B, pretend to be from Syria? Remember that Syrians don't get interviewed in person and asked a lot of tricky questions, sometimes by somebody who actually speaks Albanian. If you are Syrian, though, you simply have to fill in a form in English, so you don't even need to understand Arabic. It's a tricky conundrum, isn't it? Which would viewers do? Would they say they're Albanian, or would they pretend to be from Syria? Suppose you're an illegal immigrant from Sudan or Mali. Again, you've destroyed your documents. You know that Eritreans only have to fill out a form in English and are given preference when claiming asylum. Most British people can't tell the difference between one black African and another. Why not pretend you're from Eritrea? Does anybody listening to this seriously suppose for a moment that those in government who have set up this ridiculous scheme do not know, as well as we do, how this will play out in practice? This is the first step towards an amnesty for illegal immigrants, although it will never be called by that name. By publicly announcing the names of the countries whose citizens will be looked upon favourably in this way, the government is tipping asylum seekers the wink and letting them know what they must do to be granted asylum with a minimum of fuss and bother. It is vital for Sunak, after making that pledge, to clear up the backlog of asylum seekers by the end of the year, that he actually does do so, and an amnesty is the only way of keeping his word. As I say, he doesn't really care how many rootless foreigners fetch up in Britain. Why should he? Expect a further loosening of the rules around asylum as the summer draws near.